the perfect time. Any season is just right. You can play all day and dance into the night.
Beautiful Mount Airy Lodge, all you have to bring is your love of everything. So welcome to the first episode of Commercial Breakdown. I'm Steve King, my co-host Michelle Hickey. We are diving into commercials that we grew up with, might have been from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, but some of the most memorable commercials from our childhood that we lived through, and we're breaking them down on this new series. And Michelle, we start with what might be, for me personally, the most memorable commercial of my childhood. Beautiful Mount Airy Lodge.
Now is the perfect time. Any season is just right. You can play all day and dance into the night. At beautiful Mount Airy Lodge, all you have to bring is your love of everything.
Call 1-800-441-4410.
All you have to bring is your love of everything. Beautiful Mount Airy Lodge.
This commercial ran for years. It first ran in 1990, but I remember seeing this well into my childhood. I think once they put this production together, they put this grand commercial together, they were like, we're gonna milk this for all it's worth.
Yeah, this is it. They own this. So there were a lot of iterations of this commercial going back years and years and years, but the tagline, the beautiful Mount Airy Lodge, is something that had stuck, and it's been ingrained in my head for years. I cannot get the theme song, the jingle, out of my head. I can see myself in my home growing up in my living room watching this, sitting on the floor and watching this. So it's just kind of always been ingrained in my head. So giving a little bit of context to Mount Airy Lodge, what it is, it was a honeymoon and vacation resort in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. I always thought as a kid that it was sort of just kind of limited to where I grew up. The commercial just aired basically in my area of the state of New York, because we were a stone's throw from the Poconos. Come to find out, as I've gotten older, this was a pretty big deal, and people knew about this not just around New York, not just around the Northeast, but definitely around the country. And the selling point for Mount Airy Lodge is that they pretty much did anything you want. They did it all. And as we've gone through the commercial, as we talk about this, I'm a little skeptical about how successful all of these things that they did well actually were. But they didn't spare any expense putting this together.
Oh yeah, if there's an activity that you're into, they claim to have it.
Swimming, snorkeling, golf, horseback riding,
yes.
Which you have
I'm
played the part.
Up. Yep, like the horseback rider.
Yep, that you are, absolutely. You've watched this commercial growing up as a kid. You've watched this now as an adult. We've watched this commercial dozens of times preparing for this show. Reactions now as an adult looking at this?
I think one of the first things I said to you when you brought up this commercial is it made me think of Pam and Roy from The Office, because there is an episode where Pam is talking about going on vacation, and she says that she doesn't make it past January or February, so she and Roy go to the Poconos. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, they probably went to Mount Airy Lodge. And I feel like all of it just kind of fit together, because especially in those early seasons of The Office, they have that kind of I don't want to put down people from Pennsylvania, but that kind of Pennsylvania look. It's almost like they got stuck in this time capsule. And when you watch the Mount Airy Lodge commercial, you can see Pam and Roy in the background practically. I can.
Oh yeah, by the pool, absolutely. This is exactly what you think about this tacky honeymoon resort that people like Pam and Roy would go to. I love the first second of this commercial where it's a husband and wife, and the husband goes to the swim up bar, and he gets his wife an alcoholic beverage, and it's the pineapple that's cut open, Now you got to stop and think, because the image that they are portraying here is that this is kind of like, a tropical oasis, like you would typically go to a resort somewhere in the Caribbean. But this is Pennsylvania, and there's a very good chance that pineapple came from the Grand Union or the A&P or some reputable IGA, some place like that. So like when you stop and juxtapose what you're seeing and what it's supposed to make you feel like versus where they are geographically in the country, it gives you a little bit of pause, does it not?
Oh, completely. And if that doesn't tip you off that they're big phonies, one of their many pools are heavily featured in this commercial, but in this, I guess this is the second pool segment because the pineapple is also in kind of like a pool setting.
Yeah.
But at 6 seconds, they bring you into the pool where they are having a scuba diving class. And I paused this. I couldn't zoom in, but I got really close to the screen to confirm this. It's not just masks. It is like a breathing apparatus.
Full on scuba gear in 6 feet of water.
Yes. And I got to thinking, where is there like a coral reef near Mount Airy Lodge?
Unreal. Yeah, there are a lot of pool scenes in this. And that's basically like, but you look around and it does. If you look at the background throughout the video, like there's definitely like, the picturesque mountains around them, but it just whatever's going on in the pool doesn't necessarily match like where you are, again, geographically. I don't see that. I mean, that's not playing out in real life when you're there, right? I mean, people aren't really doing these things. They're doing what you typically do when you go to a pool at a resort. You just sit around the pool. You're not really doing anything like that.
There was one pool scene that particularly stood out to me. Do you know what I'm going to say here?
No.
They show a shot of a pool, but this pool is in a bedroom. And I'm not talking about like a soaking tub. Like there is a ladder. Like that's how big this pool is. It's not like a wading pool. Like this woman is emerging from it. And this room is so bizarre because there's this like, full swimming pool with a ladder, a bed, and a sectional couch, like a full sectional couch, but it looks kind of like tiny, like a piece of like doll furniture and a fireplace. So I feel like there's some kind of like weird thing going on here that like some of the things are really big, like the bed looks normal, the pool looks too big for the room, but then there's this tiny sectional, and when the woman gets out of the pool, her husband kind of like, wraps her in a towel, but it's like a washcloth. It's like this tiny yellow towel that doesn't even fit around her.
Yeah. And does every room come with this? Is this like the honeymoon suite?
I would have to imagine that room has to be deluxe because I don't think that they could fit that many rooms with pools in the room.
Now, after you get out of the pool and dine at what I can only imagine is a 5-star restaurant, because what else would it be? There's got to be nightlife, and Mount Airy Lodge spares no expense. Has a dance floor with a smoke machine.
Yep.
There's definitely some Lionel Richie playing at that point in time. You get that vibe. Tight proximity on the dance floor. Not a lot of room there wherever they are in the lodge.
I noticed that they didn't really show like an aerial view or anything that was zoomed out. We only really get a look at these like maybe 4, maybe 5 people who are really having a good time. We got the one guy with like the really like low cut open shirt, very Saturday Night Fever-esque.
Yeah. They're all wearing clothing from like what would be like appropriate for like 1979, 1978, maybe 1980, like dance club disco type wearing clothes. But we are airing this in 1990. That stood out to me right away. The clothing did not match what I would expect for 1990.
Yeah, there wasn't really much color. I would expect to be more spandex, more like bright neon.
There is a lot of gold. I've noticed that. There's a lot of there's that one woman who seems to be enjoying herself, and she's just draped in gold.
Yeah, I told you that I was going to dress up like one of the people in this commercial, and that was my number one choice. But unfortunately, I could not find anything that even like closely resembled her golden coat. Instead, I had to default to the horseback rider, which we will get to as we start to talk about the many recreation options that are available to you at Mount Airy Lodge.
Yes. So there's golf and tennis, and we've talked about a lot of swimming.
Steve, of all of these activities, we have the horseback riding, beach volleyball, tennis, golf, and hiking. We'll take the swimming out of this. Of those, which would be the one that you would most likely participate in?
Probably beach volleyball, because
yeah?
by the looks of who I would be playing, they all don't seem to really understand the game, because they're all on the same team and they're all jumping for the ball at the same time.
I think I would do the hike. I felt like that little hike segment, well, I guess it's not, I don't know if you would call it a hike. It's kind of like a couple like skipping between over some rocks. It looks very picturesque, scenic, and there's nobody else there. So that would be my pick.
Yeah, it is. That's actually like, if that was Mount Airy Lodge, if they pitched themselves on scenic hikes with, babbling brooks and all of these,
that actually looks like a good time.
As we start to get out of the recreational activities part of the commercial, we get back to kind of where we started, which was a lot of the rest and relaxation. And there's a part in this commercial that I didn't remember as a kid. Or at least I didn't remember it the way I see it now as an adult, which I'm a little confused about. So it appears to be a husband and a wife relaxing on it. It's a beach. I imagine it's one of those lake beaches, which is right. It's not a beach. And they have a pail with a chilled bottle of wine, and she's got a bowl of fruit. So they clearly have like themselves a little beach picnic. There doesn't appear to be anybody else around them, except there's a woman coming out of the water. I don't know what she has on her back. It seems like it's some kind of device, flotation device maybe. But she's walking towards them. She doesn't appear to be any further away than about 10 yards from where their beach blanket is. And nobody else around. It's just her coming out of the water, walking to this couple, clearly having a romantic picnic. The wife at one point in time stops and looks. Turns her head. Looks,
she is.
She's right. Yeah, there seemed to be that kind of, that vibe. Now the tagline of this hotel is, all you have to bring is your love of everything.
Oh, and now that you describe it, yeah, that is exactly what is happening.
I'm a little bit concerned now that I loved this commercial so much and didn't recognize what this could have been.
I feel like I know the answer to this, but did this commercial ever convince your parents that you should go there? Was this ever in question?
It never felt like it was for me as a kid. Like, it was one of those things where you just realize, like, it was just an adult place for adults to go to. Like, you don't see kids here. This is just a honeymoon destination. So it never really felt like it was for me. Nor do I ever remember having feelings of saying, like, this is where I want to go when I get older with my wife or my partner or whatever. Never seemed like that was going to be in the cards. This was just like a place that existed that I would never go to. It was a magical land where everything was possible. It's kind of like Disney World, but for adults. And now that I know that, they were forcing 3 ways into their advertising, I'm a little concerned. So, Michelle, what annoyed you the most about this commercial?
What annoyed me most became apparent to me in that last frame. They give you a phone number that you can call in order to book your Mount Airy Lodge vacation, and they use a very offensive, distasteful font. Now, I don't know what fonts were available or not available in 1990, but it looks like they just chose whatever the default was.
You think they just defaulted to Arial or some generic font? They just Arialed it?
Totally.
Yeah.
They did add a drop shadow. I'll throw them that. So it's, you can read it because there's a lot of colors going on behind it, but it's terrible. How about you? What annoys you the most?
The part that annoys me the most is definitely the beach volleyball scene. I cannot stand the fact that it's an actual competitive sport that they're playing, and there are, by my counts, 4 people on the same team going for the spike at the exact same time. Like, even somebody who has once played volleyball knows that that's probably not going to win you many games.
Did you find any good in this commercial? Were there any parts that you were actually impressed by?
I don't think you can beat the theme song, the music that's in this commercial. I am 34 years old. I know every word to this song by heart. Beautiful Mount Airy Lodge, all you have to bring is your love of everything.
Sing it better than them.
Never forget that. Yeah.
Everyone who is in this commercial is extremely happy. Not a frown, not a sad face. I think even the scuba divers are smiling.
Under the mask. Yes, under the mask they had smiles on.
So I do think that they do a good job of, striking that thing that I think everyone tries to do in advertising, which is to make people say like, oh, hey, like they look happy. Maybe I should try doing that. That woman who is wearing the red bathing suit and hops up on the diving board and then does this very impressive, she must have been a gymnast or something, double flip into the pool. Could you do something like that?
Oh God,
How are your
no!
diving
I was 6.
skills?
Not good. I was 4 or 5 years old and did like a jump dive into my pool as a kid and wrenched my neck and had to go to the hospital. My diving skills are not. No, I could not do that. Clearly, she was brought in for that scene and that scene only, because looking at the athletic abilities of everybody else in this commercial, they pale in comparison to this young woman.
I'll tell you where there was a miss. She should have also been the person at the end coming out of the water. I mean,
yeah, right. Had that diver body.
Yeah.
I mean,
flexible.
that's casting. That's casting.